A couple days ago, it came to light that Elon Musk had purchased a 9.2% stake in Twitter, the social networking site, becoming the company's single largest outside shareholder. Now, there's a myriad of things that we could talk about in terms of that transaction, but what I want to focus on today is how one simple trick saved him $156 million in the process. All of this begins and ends with Mr. Musk's tendency to kind of play fast and loose with security regulation laws in the United States.
The SEC is reportedly probing whether stock sales by Elon Musk and his brother Kimball violated insider trading rules of Wall Street.
Well, Elon Musk is coming for the SEC yet again. The Tesla CEO now accusing regulators of leaking information regarding an agency investigation.
This idea that, he filed this as a 13G, a passive stake, but it really wasn't.
There are all kinds of examples out there that show the consternation between Musk and the SEC. And I don't want to get into the politics of it today, whether the SEC needs more teeth, whether Musk is in the right and he should stick it to them. I'm not really interested in going down that particular rabbit hole. What I do want to do in this video is show you one simple thing, and hopefully do it relatively quickly. And that's how he saved $156 million in his purchase of Twitter stock recently. I'm going to do my best to spare you guys from complex legal jargon and concepts here, but what you basically need to know is this. When you purchase more than 5% of a publicly traded company, when you reach that 5% threshold, you are required within 10 days of reaching it to disclose that information to the public through the SEC. And the reason for that underlies the entire concept of the regulation of capital markets, and that's that other market participants need to know and need to have information available to them to make decisions about how they want to proceed themselves. Whether they're institutions, whether they're retail investors, that same sort of principle of the need for public information applies. When Musk begins buying shares of Twitter, he doesn't do so all at once. He doesn't purchase the entire 9.2% stake all in one go. Instead, like is fairly common, he slowly eases into it, purchasing shares at opportunistic moments or, market rates that he believes are acceptable and likely to generate a return, especially considering he's Elon Musk. But he does make and reach that 5% threshold of ownership on the 14th of March. And so that's our first key date, because 10 days after that, and so we count it out now, he should disclose through the SEC at the latest 10 days after that he has made this purchase and made that amount of purchase. And so that date would be March 28th. He opts not to do so. Whether or not that's intentional, come to your own conclusions. Seems unlikely to me that he wouldn't be aware of this or have somebody on his team aware of this. But when he actually discloses the purchase isn't until April 4th, numerous days late. I think the natural next question here is, okay, so why does that matter? And I'll tell you why, and to do so, we'll look at the price of Twitter stock over the last month. So here we have March the 14th. That is when the 5% threshold was reached. And then we have our 10 days, la-di-da-di-da, between March 14th and March 28th. 10 business days, so we'll exclude weekends. Over this time, in between the 14th and the 28th, and maybe April 4th, I'm actually not sure about the time after the 28th, Musk continues to buy more and more of Twitter stock. And he buys it at the market rate of around $39 and change. The issue here is, of course, related to this spike that occurs when it's disclosed to the public 11 days late that he has reached that 5% threshold. In essence, when he reached that 5% threshold, per the law, the public should have been made aware. And we weren't. What that meant is in the interim, in between the period of reaching that 5% legal threshold and the date in which it was finally disclosed, Musk was able to purchase an additional 4.2% of the company. And he was able to do so at the market rate, the unknowing market rate, of around $39, like we discussed a moment ago. He should have been buying those additional shares at the price post-spike, once the public was made aware. What happens next is anyone's guess. I said at the start of the video, I'm not going to get political about it. I'm going to hold myself to that. But the key point I'm trying to get across here is that by not filing the form, by not telling the public that he had reached that 5% threshold, he was enabled to purchase 4.2% more of the company at a market rate that didn't take into account that he had reached that 5% ownership threshold, and as we've now seen, is planning on taking, it seems at least, a fairly active role in the company. I think regardless of how you feel about, the decision and what was done, it's a really interesting little mini case study into how billionaires and the wealthy can use the law and use the rules to save themselves money, and in the process, leave retail and even other institutional investors in the dark. And one last thing, if you made it this far in the video, you know what button to press. I'm not even going to say it, but you know.